So Erin is going to post a slide with some information on there. If you're ready to take part in this escape room, there will be a link that will take you to a Canvas course. And you are going to actually do the activity within that Canvas course. There are instructions to log on. And if you have any questions, feel free to chat, come back here, ask questions, and we're here to help you out.
Really, some of what was refreshing was the amount of media and artifacts that you had to display, and how each of them integrated with each other. It was beautiful. I had a lot of fun watching and reviewing it while I was paying attention to the clock, going like, I'm running out of time. So again, as an escape room practitioner, you're always looking to see, so how much am I burned? And one of them is, again, you need to review everything before you start committing. So that I enjoyed, and I think I'd almost even share that right from the outset, that after they designed it, have the team run through it and say, can you do that in either 3/4 of the time or half the time, knowing that you know the process, but read it all, experience it all, or have someone else go through it and test it and then put it out there. That would be an amazing show and tell end of semester session, to have people go from one escape room to another.
I have a couple of comments. One, our friends at Notre Dame did a presentation at OLC Innovate on an escape room experience that they built for math, because sometimes you'll hear there are certain disciplines you couldn't do this with. And the students had to solve series of equations and perform all sorts of different components of problems that they had to piece together to stop a robot invasion and robots taking over the entire Earth. And they did a fantastic job of weaving parts of it throughout the semester. So it wasn't just, a one and done type of experience. I wanted to amplify what Jackie shared in the chat too, about she had an escape room with grad students using Flippity, and that there were a lot of people that didn't complete. Sometimes, Maddie will design escape rooms that might have like a 0 or 10% completion rating. They're meant to be that challenging. Others like this one are meant to be at about a 50 or 60% completion rating. You can adjust those variables based on the outcomes that you want to see.
Yes.
We built one together where we wanted it to be pretty close to 100% for the completion rating. And I'll tell you, the folks that were participating, they had an hour to do it in, and they were in 2 different rooms. They were separated and had to communicate across a series of devices. They were 1 minute from crashing into the sun and losing all oxygen on their space station, but they succeeded. And I have never seen such a victory celebration as that group. But it was about 30 people that were working together on one escape room challenge, but all together as one big group.
Oh, how fun. Those are great.
It was quite fun. Yeah.
Yes.
We used some robots as well. We used like the double robot that you can drive as mission control to observe them as they were working in the space. That was also pretty funny too. So
nice.
Getting lost in the narrative, I think, is really, really, really important. And I do want to have Maddie talk a little bit about some of the ways that she puts together puzzles and designs. But before I do that, I think that Zena, I wasn't sure if you were muting because you had something to say or not. We're always watching the mute unmute buttons.
I did not do that. No, I think for me, I am definitely a person that kind of needs to talk to people. So doing it by myself was sort of like, oh dear. I told my coworkers to stay up and come to the breakout room with me. If they had come, they probably wouldn't have been happy that they had to go by themselves.
Oh yeah.
As we were thinking more collective, because we do a lot of breakout EDU and through Google Forms and et cetera. And so it's always kind of a collective space, because I'm going, oh, I'm late. I'm not gonna be on a team. But then I was by myself, and then I got lost in the Padlet and forgot that there was a thing link all together. And so.
I will say that this, if we were to remix this such that it were collaborative, obviously we would build more puzzles in so that folks could have specific tasks that could be delegated, and people would have enough things to do, because that is also a challenge with any sort of quote unquote group work. You'll have some people that do everything, and then other people will just sort of sit back. And maybe Maddie too, you want to talk about your actual face-to-face escape room like roles and strategy for moving through. But this could have been facilitated in multiple breakout rooms in Zoom, where everybody has access to that thing link, and you're doing it together in a small group, but you're still doing it, synchronously, but completely online. So that's good feedback. I think that, Zena, maybe we'll try that in the future, where we have people working in small teams. We've toyed with that for this particular model, and maybe we'll try that out. We have an event in November that's coming up that might be right for this. So
yeah, and I think that what's so nice, at least in what I've loved being able to play around with, is we've also built out a fully asynchronous one that doesn't need any facilitation at all. You click on a link and you start to play. And it's interesting because these models are so rich in terms of storytelling layering. So before I talk about, and happy to share anything else, I'm gonna also at some point before we end the hour here, I've been trying to grab a link, but I've been so interested in the conversation here, but is that depending on how multi-layered you want to get with the storytelling, if there are opportunities for pointing folks to additional resources, and or at least from the educator standpoint, because a lot of the educational escape rooms that I've built have been for educator professional development. And so one of my favorite examples was wanting to make sure that I centered conversations around accessibility one year. A whole puzzle was all about accessibility, or part of the whole puzzle. And I thought, okay, well, I could just have a narrative about accessibility and do something like the Dixon Bainbridge storybook. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, click on that thing link and explore Bigfoot. He's quite the story. But what is that accomplishing? That's maybe me talking about and raising awareness around the importance of accessibility. But wouldn't it be one step deeper if I said, you know what I'd really like to do is, as a learning outcome, I want folks to walk away. I want educators to walk away from this experience feeling like they know one thing about how to make a tool more accessible, right? So that particular year, they had to actually log into a YouTube account they were given account access to, and close caption a video, and then edit the transcript. So they actually had to do this. And then as part of the puzzle, built in that there was essentially an accessibility checker within there. It was set in the institutional context that year in terms of the story, but there actually was someone there to make sure it was in fact accessible. And throughout that, in order to even get to there, they had to actually engage with a physical accessibility manual that I put together that exposed it to what an accommodations request might look like, how an accommodations request might be worded, and what responsibilities of an educator might look like, including introductions to policy, right? So I could have just said accessibility is important, but that wasn't what I wanted to accomplish. And I knew ultimately educators would leave there with less information, less resources, and less tools than otherwise they could, right? If I just took a little bit more intentional time to think about how could I build out multi-layered experience. And on top of that, at the end of that puzzle, then give them additional resources. So they leave that experience, even if a red herring. So Barnaby, you had mentioned those red herrings. One of my favorite things to do with red herrings is say, oh, wow, you just spent 5 minutes wasting your time, but it's not wasted. Hey, since you came all the way, I'm gonna link you to this really cool resource about this other thing. So
I love that.
Feeling like it's a total red herring. Because I just love populating the deep layers. One of the things that you all don't know about this escape room is that one of the characters on the Padlet that was talked about is actually a nickname for one of our favorite OLC community members. Dixon Bainbridge and the Moon are references to one of our Angela's and I's favorite British TV shows. So there's a lot of ways in which you can make this personal. So if you're thinking about ways to be more, let's say, culturally responsive, for instance, and how might I bring in not just have this be centered around an assignment, but maybe make space for students or learners, regardless of age or context, to bring some of themselves in that space. This is also a way to do it if you've designed it in that way, where we're collectively telling a story together. So there's just so much room in these experiences to really play, be playful, build community if you want to, and learn some things along the way. So
So we had some folks complete perfectly, and we have some prizes as well. You didn't even know that there were prizes at stake, but Glenn and Barnaby and Kelly.
Oh, Tommy's a banana.
Oh, no, it is a banana of the future. No, all three
Yes.
of you put in the code perfectly. So we're going to be sending you physical camp kits for your work today. And a round of applause for the three of them for completing and for doing it well. I think that Sue, was Barnaby the first, or was Kelly the first?
I did mine in 15 minutes.
First.
Kelly was the first.
Oh,
but
Barnaby was the fastest.
You were the fastest. So those are two different things because you could start at different times. So we had superlatives for this as well. So we'll be sending some goodies, and Erin Morrow, who's on here, she will make sure that those goodies get sent to you. Jackie will send you the Hydro Flask. It'll be sent from the year 3020, so it might take a little bit of time to get to you since the volcanic time portal has closed. So
no, she'll just have to wait a little longer.
just a little longer.
It'll be waiting.
Well, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us for this. I did note in the chat, Tanya had said, how can we exchange or engage with more escape rooms like this?
Yeah.
We're going to put some additional escape rooms that we've built that you can interact with asynchronously, and some opportunities for some other ones that we're building that are scheduled for the future for you to do them again synchronously. And we're really excited to make that available to you. Certainly, if you have not had enough fun tonight and you want to stick around just a little bit longer, Maddie and I, as lovers of music, are going to play one of our favorite games, which is musical bingo. So you're more than welcome to stick around. Some of you, it might be a late night.
Oh, wait a minute. You're doing the 7 o'clock bingo.
We're bingo.
Oh,
we are.
look at you.
We're going to travel back in time to the year 2020, and then we'll join you for bingo. So you'll just have to give us just a second. And just as Maddie mentioned, you will have a chance to win more prizes as well.
That's correct.
I'm just saying 2020 is not all that's cracked up to be in the brochure. I keep the receipt.
Maybe we shouldn't come back. Okay, maybe we won't come back. We'll just stay in
That's why we have to
3020,
play
Maddie.
bingo.
We'll do
Yes.
bingo from here.
Absolutely.